Welcome everyone to Faber Education Forum. I'm Michaela J from Michaela J Studio. Today I'm going to be showing you my exciting Basin Express Lighten and Tone. This is an amazing technique that you can use in the salon. It's available for all levels. Down to my emerging stylists can apply this. And it's multi-purpose look, which is really good and effective in the salon. Today I've got two beautiful models. I've got Lily and I've got Matilda. I'm going to be demonstrating two models, one on a blonde, how you can use it, and one on a copper. So it's going to be really easy, and this technique is very versatile. There's a few rules to it, but other than that, you can be as creative as you want. So generally with my Basin cleanse, I will always pre-section and prep the hair with my Damage Defy Pro 1 series. It just helps protect the hair from any damage or breakage. Today I'm using my blonde light and 40 volt. Today, because what I wanted to do with this technique, Basin Express, always again fold your lightener into it. Otherwise, it'll go too fluffy if you mix it too much. You want to be able to fold it up like a little parcel. And now today, what I'm going to be doing, this technique is very almost visual. So you want to think of where you want to have your light pops of colour. So today what I'm going to do with Lily is I'm going to focus on lightening up a few of her ends in a balayage technique. And I'm going to do a nice tight face frame through here. And I'm just going to feather a few through the top as well. So it's almost going to be like a nice fresh balayage. So, get that in. So what we've got here, we've got these sections. Generally with this technique, you can go through and do sections like that and doing in a V, or sometimes I'll even go on a diagonal. Again, this is very visual and where you want to start your winding process. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to split the section into two. Bring this out. Again, always making sure you have really super neat sections. Now, the reason why I use 40 volt, it's because this technique is only applied on for 5 to 10 minutes max. You don't want to have it anymore because you're using a higher volt. You don't want to jeopardize the condition of the hair. So again, when you're applying your lightning cleanse, I'll always have a towel here to make sure that I'm nice and neat. Grabbing your section where you want heavy lighten, you want to saturate your product. So going through, having nice even sections, using your brush to control the hair down as well to keep it nice and tight. So you can see I'm saturating the product here. Again, because you're using a high volt, you really want to make sure that you work quite fast with this technique. So you can see I'm just fanning this up, and I will pull my section down here, and then I will just give it a bit of a fan down too. Again, you'll always tone after this technique as well. So be neat, but be quite quick with this technique. So I'm going to brush this through and apply that there.
Got a few people saying they can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Michaela from Abby.
Hello, Abby. So again, I'm going to mimic my side that I've just done through there. Taking my section, making sure it's nice and neat. Fanning the hair out is very, very important because you want to make sure that you've got lots of control and you can control where you want to bring up your lightener to there.
And her hair is damp, is it?
Yes. So what I've done today is I've prepped the hair. I've done the light shampoo. This technique that we do in the salon is we always do it at the Basin. It's called Basin Express Balayage. I love to use this technique if I've got a lady such as Lily comes in with quite a lot of banding or quite a lot of colour build up, and you just want to kind of do a little bit of a flash lightener on it before a colour.
Oh,
before a colour. So generally what I would do with this one, because I'm doing a copper, your toner can stay on for 5 to full processing 35 minutes if you want to. Again, you're customizing your toners or colour to the client of what they want. With Lily, because I'm doing a copper, I will do an express lighten, but then I will also probably leave her toner or gloss on for almost full processing time. So you can see how I've just done that. And
How
I'll
do you
always-
decide how far up to start your application of Lighten, Michaela?
Yes. So generally with that, you want to make sure that it's very visual. So when you're popping it on, you want to make sure that you're saturating, you're putting as much lightener on where you want the lightness to be, and you're feathering it up. Generally, what I would recommend with this, depending on what technique I want to do, I would never put it on my natural color. This only lifts up to 1 to 2 shades generally, because you're only leaving it on for a short period of time, the high vol. It's going to be enough to about to break through color pigment, build up, or even toner build up, and just lighten it just ever so slightly. So again, it's very visual. If I wanted to bring it up and have more lighter pieces through there, then I would bring it up and have lighter pieces through there. But with Lily, I just want to create that nice soft copper shine coming through. And again, always making sure that you are really feeding that lightener through.
So did you take that in one big section there?
Yes, yes, I did.
Ooh.
So you can see we've got a bit of banding through here. So what this is good, it's just going to kind of help pop it open a little bit. And because the hair is damp, you're not going to get any lines through there.
Can I see how much it's saturated underneath? I think that's the question.
Of course.
Oh,
So it's all the
yeah.
way through. So again, I'm always saturating where I want maximum lift, and then I'm feathering it out where I want to just kind of like break the base or have that little bit of that transition.
Oh, we've got another question here. Are you saturating the lighter through the ends or just on the top of the section? Oh, yeah.
No, so yeah, I'm saturating the lightener through the ends where I want my maximum lift. I want all the tips to be covered through here. So when she wears her hair forward, she's going to have all that copper coming through towards the ends.
Yeah.
And again, always making sure your hair is fanned out because you got better, you're able to apply it quicker, even, and be able to kind of do a bit more of that balayage to be able to concentrate where you want to lighten it.
Yeah, you're not going to get any blotchiness soon.
No. Again, that's very, very important, I find, with how you hold your sections when you're lightening it. You'd never clump it up because you'll just get patchiness, and also not a good even lift as well. And you can see Lily's got a bit of banding through there. And I'm concentrating on through there. And what I'll always milk it through, and I'll just kind of like using my fingers and fan it out a little bit. Again, underneath as well. This technique can be used for any color. I do this for my reds. If someone wants to have nice big pops of red coming through, coppers, if they just want to lift it up just maybe a shade or two. I also like, and I'll explain with Matilda, when you get your girls that come in and they want to have a bit of a tone, but they want to feel brighter and lighter. And generally when you do tone on tone, it doesn't lift. So you want to make sure that you kind of pop that open a little bit, give it a little bit of lift and then tone, and they feel like they've almost got a fresh new colour.
So this has been shampooed and you have the Defy Damage on there.
Yes, always. So I'll always apply this technique on wet hair. It's almost a bit of a safety blanket as well. And again, you can see how I'm kind of doing, always taking it almost like diamond sections and leaving that over here. So you can imagine when that comes over, she's going to have that nice depth coming through on top of the lighter pieces.
Yes, good idea. Oh, there was another question there. Can we use this technique on a brunette or darker levels?
Yes, yes, of course you can. So this technique is great for if they've got a lot of build-up and banding through there, and you just want to kind of pop that open. Again, as I explained, it only lifts up about 1 to 2, maybe you might get 3 shades, but not really because you're only leaving it on for 5 to 10 minutes. So if you want a warm chocolate brown, then yes, 100%.
So 5 to 10 minutes from you completely finish the application?
Yeah, so always, again, what I'll always do is I'll always keep my sections quite separate to each other so I can go back in and rinse the section if I need to. With my blonde models, or blonde clients, I'll always do that. because generally once you finish start applying it, it's already been about 5 minutes through the back. So you need to just make sure that you rinse that off.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've just kind of like placed that
I have a question for you.
down.
How do you know what the right amount of dampness is?
Generally it should be not saturated, like almost towel dried. I'll always put it on towel dried hair. Still, you don't want to dilute it too much, otherwise the bleach would be diluted almost. So you want to make sure it's kind of like towel dried so it is able to lift.
So no dripping, basically.
Not saturated, definitely
Yeah.
not. Let's see how I'm going to bring it out.
Oh yeah, let's look at that, Brandon.
And you see how I'm taking quite big sections. I'm adding a lot of lightness into this hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, great for banding, great for a flash lift. We use this technique every single day in our salon. Sometimes I'll even use it on blonde, like full head of foils or half head of foils. And sometimes they want to lift it up, and you know that there's a lot of blonde in there or underneath, but they've just got a lot of tone or they've just got a bit of brassiness. And generally, if they've got quite dark root, I know that I have to leave that lightener on for about half an hour, sometimes even 40 minutes. Putting a 10 volt on the ends will jeopardize the condition of the hair too much. So what I like to do is I actually take all the foils out of the basin, and I will do this technique on that client because it'll just flash lift the ends up enough without jeopardizing the condition of it. Again, always choosing what bowl you want to use. On very porous hair, I would never use a 40. I would stick to a 20 with a bit of 30 in there just to kind of give it that bit of that boost. And again, just making sure your sections are quite separate.
So you're saying there to go in with this here as a service rather than using 10 vol in a foil and leaving it on for longer?
100%. I just find that it jeopardizes that sometimes 10 vol in a foil for 30 minutes can do just as much damage. And I'm not all for that. I'm all for healthy hair. The healthier your hair is, the more your toner will last, the better your color will look, the shinier your hair will be. I just found that this technique was quite good for that because you've got more control over it. You've got control of where you're lightening and how it's for, and it's very visual. So this technique is very, very visual on how much you want the lift to be.
I also have another question there a second ago, and they want to know, would you only use this at the basin, the service?
Yes, I will always use it at the basin. Because it's controlled. If I need to rinse, something flashes out and they're lightening too much or the porosity of the hair is getting too much, I can rinse it straight away. There's no time to waste with that.
Yeah. How do you leave any sections of hair, or do you leave any sections of hair out or lighten all over?
Well, you can do it anyway, really. If you wanted to get maximum lift for the ends, if I had a full head of foils and I wanted to lift all the ends, then I would do that. With Lily today, what I'm just doing is I'm just sectioning it because I still want depth of pops of depth to come through. The more pops of depth you have, the more contrast you have, the more lighter those pops look, the lighter. So I don't want to saturate it. If you want it to be quite uniform on the ends, then yeah, definitely do that. Again, always making sure that I am mimicking my section.
Another question. Would you charge the same price as you would say for half head or full head of foils?
Yeah, so generally with this technique, if we have a client that just does it as like a express lighten and then just a tone, then we will charge for the cleanse at the basin, which that can vary depending on thickness, length, and what I use. We could charge from 20 to 55 to sometimes 60 if their hair is quite long and thick and they want lots of lift. And then I will also charge a tone or a gloss over the top or an all over colour.
On this other side, see how the hair is going.
So you can see how that's kind of lifting, but it's not lifting too much, which is good.
I like
Now, what I like to do with my face frames, again, popping your hair going down. What I will always do is I like to get my section. Again, if I got a bit of lightener where I didn't want to, because the hair is damp, you can just kind of just comb it off a little bit. So if you get a bit of blotchiness and you can see it, you just kind of like give it a bit of a brush or a comb. I love using my wet brush, which is really easy. So again, always projecting the hair out. Fanning it out because you've got more control over there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to concentrate putting some really nice light pops around the hairline, almost like baby, kind of like baby foils. Getting my maximum lift through here. And what you can see, I'll be able to demonstrate on the other side. With my face frames, I always like to take a C-section, starting up narrow through here and then going a bit wider when you go to the temples. The only reason why I go a bit wider is because the hair, well, depending on the hairline dips down, you've got less hair to work with. You don't want it to be very quite heavy through there and heavy through there, but nothing through the scalp. Again,
We've got another question here. What is some of your favorite toning cocktails?
I have the best one for you in a second when I do the Tulips hair.
Coming up.
All my hair coming up with all my tone. Well, most of my toners, I love to use my Lumishine range. I just feel like there is no other shine than Lumishine. I've experimented with the others and stuff like that. I just find it's just really glossy. It's healthy. It puts the shine back in the hair, and the hair looks even better. So you can see how I've just done that. Pull that down. Again, looking at my first section, you can see how it's starting to lift.
Yeah.
And again, because it's out in the open, it almost oxidizes a little bit as well. So you've got a bit more control over it. You're not going to like fry the hair or anything like that. So again, I'm going to really fan this up here.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's
like
this
highlight.
Yeah, this technique can be so creative. You could use this for anything, and you can have it as high or as low as you want. So you can see how I've just set that right up, and then I will always just kind of blend that out. What I'll do is, if I feel like I just need to blend the other side, I'll almost just kind of feather it up with the wet brush.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see how I've just kind of just feathering that out a little bit, getting rid of the banding. What I would like to do is I'll always put the oil through here, just so I can kind of place this here. I'm not going to get in their face or anything like that. Again, I'm going to mimic this side through here as well. I'm moving my sections up, projecting that up.
Got another question.
Okay.
If you wanted to create maximum lift, would you do this technique with a lower vol and leave it on for longer?
Yeah. Yeah, no, not really actually, because if you're going to it's generally a flash lift, I would call this. So you could, but then that's probably just like a cleanse, like you're cleansing the hair or a bleach bath, really. I do this because it only takes, again, it's an express technique. So it only stays on for 5 to 10 minutes. Very effective in the salon. because we run a tight ship in the salon with appointments and everything like that. And sometimes clients come in and they want, you know, this lightener and all this stuff going on, and you've only got probably like a half an hour slot with that. This is really, really good because you can do a flash lightener through here, a flash balayage or lightener, wherever you want to focus it on, and then you can wash it off and then pop an all over colour on over the top. So we like to do that. Again, with the cleanse through the blondes, it's only about 5-10 minutes. But I guess with hair, you can be as creative as what you want.
So is this the last section?
This is my last section. And then what I'm going to do with Lily is I'm going to actually pop her back and get her all settled and set a timer. And I'll also be keeping an eye on it as well. Last section, making sure I'm grabbing and fanning it out. Saturating my hair. On the back drab. And again, I'm just feathering this out here. Yeah, well, today what I'm going to be doing as well, after I finish Lily's hair, I'm going to actually be toning with my Lumi Shine 6MC as like a root touch to kind of blend that out to give it a nice transition into a 7cc. And a 7cc is really good because it's going to add a bit of brightness and copper into her ends as well and tone it. And I'm just going to put this down. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my sections and just kind of pop them in the bowl. Again, a neat station is a good thing. Always putting it up and just popping it back.
That noise is a chair.
There we go. I've got Lily here, and you can see how I have all my sections through here. Out. And just letting that sit. And we can have a look at the first bit through here. You can see how much already that's kind of lifted. And Lily did have a lot of banding. Lily actually used to be flat. She's on the process. So I am going to pop a timer on for 10 minutes and then see how that goes from there. Any questions with that? Now I'm super excited to show you this technique with my model Matilda. So generally with Matilda, with stuff like this, if this is basically express tone, I would use this technique if someone came into the salon and they, you know, your blondes and they want a toner, refresh, but they want to feel brighter and lighter. Tone on tone doesn't really lift. It just deposits colour. So what I would recommend for my clients to do is to do an express lightness service with doing my flash lightness. So today what I'm doing is I'm doing 20 blonde light, 20 vol with a bit of 30 vol as well. So it's almost just going to kind of give that bit of that kick. I'm not wanting to put 20 vol on her hair because I just don't, I'm not going to get that maximum lift with it. So just giving a bit of that more kick for 30 vol. Again, always shampooing the hair, always prepping the hair. It's Pro 1.
This section looks a little bit different than the other section.
Yeah, so again, customizing your sectioning and where you want to apply your lightener to what client you're going to have. With Matilda, I am going to be focusing on her tips mainly. So when she wears her hair out, she's going to feel a bit brighter. I'm going to focus on her face frame as well, of lightening around the hairline. Again, what they first see is what you want to lighten, so around the hair and also underneath and maybe a little bit as well.
I'll just zoom in and see this section.
So what I'm doing is I'm just wetting her hair slightly.
Right. Oh, another question.
Yes.
How do you choose which areas to apply lightener to and which areas to leave?
Yes. So again, very, very visual on where you want to start your lightener. With Matilda, I'll show you here as well. So when you bring it down with any of my type of clients through here, I will never pop my lightener or my cleanse on any naturals, or if they've got a bit of like banding or natural color coming through, because I'm only leaving it on for about 5-7 minutes max. If I pop that on there, it's going to go really warm because it breaks the base and almost lifts it up a shade. So you always put it on pre-lightened hair, because you know that there is lightness underneath. So again, you want to work quite quick with this. So you can see how I'm saturating through here.
Her hair seems a lot finer.
Yeah. And always having your towel.
Yeah, when you bleach it.
Yeah.
Good consistency. What mixing ratio do you do?
With my bleach, with my blonde life, I always find it goes really quite fluffy. So if I wanted a bit more of a tighter hold, I will do it 1 to 1, 1.5 maybe. This one I've done 1 to 1.5. So again, I'm not popping it on any of that darker tone because that is going to go quite warm if I pop that on there. You can always correct your liner just by going like that.
And all up, how long would this service take in the salon?
Oh, it can take, depending, so an express tone on a blonde model, a blonde client, it will take about half an hour at the Basin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite very, very efficient. Very great for, very profitable for your salon, making your targets if you've got targets or anything like that, because you're almost upgrading it. Someone comes in for a toner, if their hair is able to be lifted, then I will lift it because they're going to get the dream results that they want. In between their foil services, I'll always get my clients maybe to come in for this.
Yeah, that's a very good idea though, because people always say, I want my hair toned, but it's like build up.
But they want it lighter.
Yeah.
So they want it quite light. And again, I always explain and educate my clients to be like, tone on tone doesn't lift.
Yeah.
It deposits. So you might feel a little bit kind of, especially if they want that ash.
Yeah.
Ash blonde.
Because it's a cooler color, it goes darker.
It appears a lot darker.
Okay, another question. Can you use this technique with any other services?
Yep, again, so what I will use this for, and we're very, very quite popular in our salon, is we'll use it on our blonde clients to lighten up like old color through there. So if I did a full head of foils, just did the roots and got rid of maybe some really quite warm orange banding, but I felt like the ends didn't need 10 volt on there and they just need the flash lift, just to lift it up about 1 or 2 shades max. I will do this. I will take all my foils out, I'll shampoo, prep the hair, and then I will do my lightening serve, like my express. Whether or not I take and I saturate all the ends, or whether or not I take bits, I can take a bit around the hairline. I'll also use this technique if you ever done a client and it just doesn't lift up just that much and you need it a little bit more. I will do like a flash express if the hair can handle it. I'll do a flash express around the hairline, or maybe there's a bit of like banding that they've had. So what I'm going to do with Matilda, because it's a bit more easy to concentrate, I'm actually going to pop it back now. This way, you can fan out your sections. Like so. And you can see already, see how that is already lifting. Amazing. It doesn't take long at all. So taking my next section, again, it's very visual. I want her to have a lot of saturation through the front and a bit out the back. Fanning out my sections, holding on nice and tight. Again, you can see she's got a bit of depth coming through there. I'm going to avoid that section. Otherwise, she will get banding through there. And you don't want to create more banding. You want to get rid of.
Another little question here.
Yes.
Is there anyone this technique is not suitable for?
Do you know what? If you train, generally what I like to do is I like to train my emerging stylists to be able to do this. Obviously, supervise until I feel like they are capable of it. So they need to be quite fast with it. But this is really great to teach your emerging stylists because it gets them understanding balayage, the techniques, fanning, where to apply lightener, how it reacts to hair, because they're doing it themselves. So I feel like it's a really good way. I feel like any levels of hair, as long as you feel like they're confident in it.
So by fanning, do you mean the way you're holding?
Fanning, so you're having it out, controlling, figuring out where you want to saturate and have maximum lift as well.
Mm-hmm.
So these beautiful young girls are actually my stylists. So they do lightener cleansers all the time, don't you girls? Yep, every day. And we've done training with them, and it's going to be a good way because it gets them excited and they feel a bit more comfortable with bleach as well. It's just quite scary when you're an apprentice and you go in the deep end. They understand how hair reacts to 30 volt, 20 volt, 10 volt. So again, I'm just bringing this out, saturating my ends, always fanning out my sections, as you can see.
Well, there's a new technique for everyone, fanning.
Fanning!
I think I've heard of that one.
You just got lots of control.
Any more questions from people out there?
So again, having my sections out, having lots of control through there.
So let's see where you took that section from.
So you can see how I'm always doing like diamond sections or sections on the angle, because I feel like when the hair goes down, you have that no lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to have that nice flow through there as well. So this is my section through here. I'm leaving this diamond section, as you can see, put up on the girl.
Oh yeah.
I've done a diamond section here, so that's going to shadow over the top of it. And again, having my section out.
Oh, question.
Yes.
Would you only lighten the top section, or would you lighten throughout the back as well?
Yes, very good question. Wherever you feel like you want your max, where you want lift and lightness, then I would focus on. So you can apply it all over. You can apply it in sections just at the front if they're just wanting a pop and face frame, which is quite trending at the moment. Or whether or not they just want their tips kind of cleansed out, they're feeling a bit dull on the ends or something. I will use this if I've got a client that's had a lot of build up for years, and they're trying to go the process of lightening, and you do your first lift and it just hasn't lifted up that much, or you just just need that little tiny boost.
Oh.
Again, my girls control these basins with multiple cleansers sometimes, so it is quite easy.
There was a question there by Jess, from Jess. She said, what is your favorite toners for bright blondes?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm getting really excited. I absolutely love, I have a little tip and trick, and it's a little hair hack. Because I feel like as a hairdresser, we're all for bending rules and experimenting things. So I love my Lumi Shine toners in the 10 ranges, 10 SB, 10 and WB. But my favorite toner is, I can even, depending on how much warmth they have, but today on Matilda, I'm going to use 10 and WB with about 2.5 centimeters of INV in the Vero. Because the Vero is just pure tone and pigment with no base or secondary color, it's just going to be able to give it that little bit of that violet kind of hue, to give it that pearly iridescent, or whether or not you just want to kind of have that bit more creamier. In the Lumi Shine ranges, in the DDs, on your 10 levels, you only have like an NC. Oh, do you have an NC? 10 and WB or 10 SB. Sometimes you want a bit more of that extra violet to counteract more, give it a bit more of that pearl. Again, I'm just going to wet my section through here. As I'm onto the last section now.
Does anyone out there use the INV?
Yeah, does anyone, who out there actually uses the Lumi Shine DD creams and toners?
Okay, we've got someone saying, I love the INV.
It's amazing. I put it in anything and everything sometimes. Just gives it that boost, and I feel like generally with people, they love that pearly kind of iridescent blonde. And the IMV just helps boost it up. I'll even use a cheeky extra squirt of IMV sometimes if they want it that real, like, rosy colour. It's a beautiful rosy toner sometimes. So you can see how I'm going through that shade here. Now with my section through here, I'm always going to pop this forward.
Okay, I've got it here. Love that. I use the Quick Toner Violet with the 10 NWB, which is pretty nice.
My secret ash toner is 10 SB with silver QT in it. I love it. It's just amazing. It gives you, or you want that real natural grey colour. It's beautiful for that. Just gives it that little bit of that boost to it.
Mm. How long would you leave that on for then?
For the Tennessee and the
silver.
I leave it on. It can be, again, watching your tone. It can be on for 5 to 10 to 20 minutes sometimes. If their hair's quite porous, I will leave it on for a little bit longer and just let them know that I'm going to. Because what happens when the hair is quite porous, they will it will grab, but then it will let go of it really quickly. So letting your clients know they're going to get longer out of their toner, especially ash toners, they can lose their pigment and shade really quickly.
Did you just pre-wet that there section?
Yes.
It dried up a little?
Yes. So obviously my section had dried a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just to keep a bit of control and make sure it's still damp. I've just re-wet it, whether or not you have a bit of a spray bottle or just use it with your fingers and a brush. Again, if you feel like your hair is kind of clumping together, using that wet brush is really, really good because it just helps separate it a little bit more. Again, being quite visual with your lightener. I'll even do this if I want a little, so see how I've got a little cut there? Very easily fixed. You just want to kind of grab a bit of your comb and just comb that out. So again, you can kind of go back on what you've done because the hair has got a bit more control over it. So you can see how I have just finished through there with Matilda. And if you can see my bottom section here, see how already that is really popping that out. And again, always testing the porosity of the hair as well. If I am to do a toner afterwards, again, 5 minutes and I'll check it. If I'm going to, as I'm going to tone afterwards and gloss, what I'm going to do is I always prep the hair with cuticle sealer, only because what that is the hair, therefore I'm going to get even tone. It also helps the colour go even, seals the cuticle, makes the hair super soft. You can do cuticle sealer before your tone and after your tone as well. If you can see now, how much is it up? See that?
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Again through there. And again, it's only about 1 to 2 shades.
And that was with 30 vol, wasn't it?
That was with 40 volt.
Or 40.
If you're using a higher vol, I wouldn't really go over 10 minutes. That's what I would do. And then I will pop a cuticle sealer over for about 5 minutes. Cuticle sealer is also amazing for anyone with scalp sensitivity. It misses scalp. For anyone with rich on scalp, or even someone that has a bit of sensitivity to tone or colour, I'll always do a cuticle sealer afterwards. Again, you want to always make sure you shampoo your bleach out.
What shampoo are you using?
I'm
today?
using my blonde light. You can see all through there.
Let's see that there.
Mhm. Rinsing my colour. And again, we've been doing this for about 40 minutes now. So already I'm almost finished the full processing. Sure, the shampoo's out. Is there any more questions? I'd love to answer, even if it's not nothing to do with it, more of like colours or formulas. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to towel dry.
We've got a question here from Duncan.
Yes.
Will you apply your global colour to damp or dry hair?
Again. So what I will do if I'm doing just tone or a gloss, I will put that on damp hair. If I want it to be more full coverage, if I've got greys, or if I'm doing a real good colour, I will dry the hair off. You can use this technique using colour intensities as well. That has to be put on dry hair as well.
And will you?
Customizing what you're going to do to what time, also timing.
And do you apply your toners at the basin?
Yes, always just find I've got a bit of control. Because you've got a bit more side, you kind of see what you're doing. So again, I've got my cuticle sealer on. I'm going to leave it up until 5 minutes. And in the meantime, just do it 1 minute through here. And what I'm going to do is you're always keeping an eye on what's happening through here. So see how beautiful that looks already. Quite crisp. Sometimes I won't even tone after I do something like this. If they're wanting that more that bright colour. So what you want to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my first sections, and I'm just going to start to rinse them. You can see that. So what it used to look like?
Yeah. It's just the blurriness.
Yeah.
It's
The fog.
Yeah, just get the right over.
So again, popping that through there. And if I hold this out, you can literally see the transition that it's gone through. No real lines or anything as well. Good. So having control, checking all my sections. You can see how that's already matching up, which is really good. Rinsing in sections just has a bit more control over your lightener. Sometimes you'll have deeper sections that need longer. You can see already my old section through here. And then see how that's just popped that open that little bit. Having a look. And again, always checking the porosity of the hair to make sure that the hair can withhold it as well.
So
Very
whenever
important.
you applied that, what percentage dampness would you say the hair was?
I definitely say about towel dry. Probably about 70%.
70% damp.
There. Sometimes also what I might crack on is I might saturate the hair with the HKP just to protect the hair. Just a little tiny bit longer through there. Obviously, that's my last sectioning as well. And also, I'll always recommend, if I've got my emergency dialers on, I'll always recommend them to keep putting a timer on. So if they're rinsing out section behind, I'll always say, well, make sure you put a timer on for the front, just so you know exactly how long it's been on for, or whether or not if they're a bit slower, I'll get them to apply the back, set that timer, and then apply the front, because then they know exactly how long the back has been on for. So if it gets to that 5 minutes or the maximum, then they can lift it and then proceed on to the next bit. Again, doing it at the basin is very quite important because you've got a lot more control over there. Nicely. And it's quite easy to be able to control multiple people or services at once as well.
Another question. If hair is more damaged, do you have a damper for your application than healthier hair? Good question.
Yeah, so you would, but then again, generally if the hair is quite damaged, I will avoid a bleach, a Basin cleanser at the base, and I'll explain to them, because lightener is lightener, it's still going to damage the hair, whether you have it saturated and damp or whether or not you use a lighter bulb, you're still going to jeopardize the condition. So I would never recommend to have this process all the time. This is almost just like that. Every so often when you've got a bit of build up, the hair is quite porous and damaged, then I would avoid most, I reckon. But obviously, if the hair was more drier, then obviously you're going to get more lift. The hair is more damp, it's going to dilute the product.
Other question?
Yeah.
What would be your recommendations post-colour?
For products?
Yeah.
Definitely, I would recommend the dry damage, because obviously that helps prevent further damage and strengthens the hair. Especially if I'm using my Pro 1 series, Pro 1 and 2 series, they're able to take that home and use it themselves. You can see here how nice that is. And again, so you can imagine if I was to do a full head of foils on a client and their hair was like that, you can imagine if I did that, the roots are quite nice and bright, but the ends are still really dull. You would go through and you would kind of saturate wherever you want your lightness to come, whether or not you do all your ends or only some of your ends. I'll open that little bit, just that shade or two. Again, what I'm doing is I'm just shampooing the hair. Make sure all the bleach is out before I do my cuticle sealer. So that is my cuticle sealer timer for Lily. You can see already, like before I even tone, the light, how bright that has got just in 5 minutes. Experimenting with it and figuring out how the lightener works to what hair as well. Again, on my real blondes, I feel like if they're a level maybe 8 or 9 plus, I will only use about 20 plus a little bit of 30. Anything a little bit more darker, no, that's all this, I'll use my 40 bulb. 40 to 30.
Love your work, Michaela. 3 little emojis like this and a kiss.
three thumbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got about 10 minutes left now.
Yes. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to be toning my models. Again, I'm going to be having some photos before and afters and videos up on the forum as well afterwards, so you can actually see what the finished result looks like as well. So again, I got my cuticles. You don't have to shampoo. You can generally see how much softer it is, the hair, after you use the cuticle sealer.
Yeah. The low pH.
Yeah. It's just great for, obviously, the lighter the hair is, the more damage it is on the ends. And if you've just done like a flash lightener, you want to make sure the porosity is equal for even deposit. My tip as well, what I'll always use is microfiber towels. They don't pull the hair, especially after you do an intense service like this sometimes.
As opposed to the other kind of
the cotton ones, because they just rub the friction. And again, never drying and rubbing, always kind of squeezing that moisture out. Very, very important, especially after doing such an intense service on their hair.
It also cuts down blow dry time.
100%. We're all for time efficient.
We have a question here that says, could you share with us your sectioning prior to the flash lightning application?
Yes. So my sectioning varies. It varies a lot, depending where I want to do it. But I will always, my safety blanket is diamond section or horizontal sections, because you're going to get more of that nice softness. If you're going to go more horizontal, isn't it? Not diagonal. Horizontal.
Diagonal.
If you go for a diagonal section and you're going to apply it, you've got more chances of getting banding and more lines. Whether you go more on a diagonal, it's going to flow nicer.
We could also get a head sheet and you could draw them on, and we can post that with the after pictures.
So with Lily, with my model here, I am actually going to leave her on for more full processing time, just so we can cover the ends. We're going to gloss the ends more, so she's going to get more of an intense copper through the ends. Yep.
It does look quite coppery under this light. So what level would you say she's at now?
She's probably at, in bits, she's almost just like still like a 7. I'd say 7 level.
Yeah, definitely.
Where before she was a bit more of like a 6, bit of 5 sometimes in it as well. So you can use this technique if you've got really heavy banding in their hair as well. Just to kind of pop that open.
Is it the toner?
I got my 6NC here and I got my 7cc here. So my 6NC, I'm using a bit of a depth just so she has a bit of a shadow through here. And then it's going to go a bit more brighter. I always like to use a transition color for my toners instead of one tone all through. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be applying it more through the roots through here, fanning it out and applying through the back as well, almost like a root kind of smudge tap. Again, if you wanted to dry the hair, you can dry the hair if you wanted to. But with Lily, I'm going to be leaving it a bit damp.
So that is actually the Lumishine Permanent.
This is the Lumishine Permanent. And I've used 5-vol with there. I've used 5-vol because I just want to basically deposit the colour. But then with the Lumishine Permanents, they do break the base slightly. So she will get a bit of lift on her natural colour. If you are wanting to avoid that, what I like to do is I actually like to let it oxidize for 5 minutes. It just helps prevent breaking that base, especially on that blonde, where they don't want it to go too warm or anything like that.
And how would you do that? Just by mixing it?
Mixing it, and then I always set a time for 5 minutes, just let it oxidize. So you can see how I'm almost just applying it as just like a root tap. And then what I will be doing is I will be brushing it through to blend it and then marrying it onto my 7cc. So we've got about 5 minutes left.
5.
Any more questions? I actually can't wait for you to see Matilda's phone after I do her. I'm using my 10 NWB and INV, which is probably my favourite toner.
Oh,
that is the
last timer with 5 minutes exactly to go.
Woo! So again, a recap, like this technique is great for all levels, obviously training them in it. It's great for your emerging stylists. It just gives them a bit more confidence with techniques and blending.
Because we've just 5 minutes, we will just quickly talk about Matilda's coloured toners, which are here.
My face.
So this is the 10 NWB DD cream,
The
the INV intensifier.
Then you can kind of push the boundaries and cross them into other mixtures. Same with the INB, ING, anything like that. It is just pure tone with no secondary colour. So it will just add a bit more of that to help counteract any colours or add tone into the hair as well.
And obviously the DD is ammonia-free colour.
Ammonia-free.
So gentle on the blondes.
You can really tell the difference between the DD creams and your whether or not sugars or whether or not you use your chromes. I feel like you can tell the difference between the condition of the hair and the shine. I think everyone is into maximum shine and gloss.
Yeah, and the consistency of it as well.
It's beautiful to work. It's absolutely beautiful to work through as well, I feel. And then what I'm going to give this a little bit of that comb through. Again, it's going to create that nice depth and shadow through her roots.
So did you do that the same width throughout her hair?
Yes, I will do. I just need that more colour.
So a few inches, is it?
Yeah, so literally just going to apply it through whether or not you want it to be a tap, whether or not you want it to be a smudge. I'm just putting it around about an inch or so just to create that shadow and that depth through there and give it that nice blend. If you've got like a transition of where you put your lightener through there, it's also really maybe a good idea to kind of blend that through so it marries in, so you've got that nice smooth effect. If you have got a bit of like blotchiness, that is a really good idea to drop down the levels so you can actually counteract it. So you can correct what you've done. So have got too much more, so you've picked up a dark section, you can counteract that.
Okay, so there's just 2 minutes left. You want to?
Yes. Anything else? My befores and afters are going to be on the forum, so I love it. I'll tag, post them soon.
Oh, and let everyone know about Curly Boss with Felicity Bruce on Wednesday the 26th, 2 p.m. WA time.
Yes.
4 p.m. New South Wales, Queensland, and 6 p.m. in New Zealand.
I'm just mixing. Again, you'll be able to see more of this finished result. And you can tell I'm always top of my sections on a diagonal as well. I've just got more control if I'm going to fold over color to lead onto a section where you put this.
So we've about 30 seconds left.
30 seconds. So I've done 2 models within the hour. Obviously, all they need to do is process. So this technique can be an hour or hour and a half, depending.
So we'll show the end results whenever we get finished.
Yeah, and again, always glossing my toner afterwards with my product. Help lock in the colour as well.
Yeah, and make sure you comment on the photographs. Okay, bye. That's 1 hour.
See ya.